Hello, welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip,
And I'm CJ.
and it's Wednesday in the Riv, and boy, that opening really went well, didn't it?
Yeah,
A couple of little glitches here. Okay,
I didn't see any glitches on my end, but I'm directly at the source. And the
yeah,
reason why, just so our viewers know, the reason why there appears to be a 3 or 4 second delay is that Chip is getting the signal after I broadcast it. So it's just a little slow delay. That's all it
yeah,
is.
but it went to white screen too. We had a blank screen. We didn't even have the
Well, that
Spindle screen.
you had the white screen. We
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
So,
don't know how that happened but hey,
but
it is what it is.
but I'm
We
CJ.
are here.
Yep, I'm
So,
CJ. Oh, and by the way, we have a crime report. We have a
yes,
50 gray. We
okay,
have a 50 gray.
another one.
Another one. Couldn't
But
believe
don't
it.
worry, there's no crime in the city. There's no
That's
bullet
right.
holes in every until there's a bullet hole in every house and a crime committed on every block. According to Paul, there is no. Don't worry about it. Just
Or as they say on the street, I'm going to cap you in the ass.
that's right. That's right. That's exactly it. Well, I guess yesterday was finally the big reveal. Sam Sutter officially announced his candidacy for mayor, which obviously everybody knew was coming anyway. Um, so now the campaign begins. He gave a speech. Some people liked it, some people didn't like it. Uh, I'm not even sure the relevance of those speeches anyway. I think if it's a really great speech, I mean, if we're talking about Adolf's speech in Munich, it moved an entire nation. But then again, Adolf was a master at getting the people engaged because that's what he did best. He appealed to the masses, and I'm not sure what kickoff speeches do anyway. They're kind of rah rah things anyway. I like to see some content. I like to see some specifics. But the reality is what happens now that the campaign has officially begun. What's going to happen now? Who's going to knock on the doors? Who's going to take it to the people? Who's going to ask the people what their issues are? That's really important. The people, not there's a great quote from General Eisenhower, who was, in case you don't know, he was the president of the United States, and he was also the Supreme Allied Commander during World War II. He said that I have found plans are useless, but planning is indispensable. What that fundamentally means is you can create a plan, but it normally ends up useless because there's always changes in things and you have to adapt. That's a military understanding. Whether it's at a fire or it's at a crime, a bank holdup or whatever it is, it's a fluid situation and decisions have to be made on the fly. During campaigns, you have to adjust the campaign. But the first thing you can't adjust the campaign unless you ask the people what's important to them. It doesn't matter what's important to you. You've got to tell them what you're going to do, what's important to them. And what's important to them is stop killing them with taxes and stop educating our children and stopping crime and stop blowing money like a drunken sailor.
Well, I guess what's happened is that the people who watched Sam's speech yesterday were kind of disappointed. Number one of the big concerns that I've read from a lot of people is he going to keep the same people in that are in there now? Because if that's the the situation, why change administrations? Is he going to bring back the same people he had when he was mayor? Because if he does that, why go back to something that the people didn't believe in? Because by Sam's own admission, he took advice from people that he shouldn't have listened to. And that's by his own admission. So if those same people are going to come back, Why should people go back to that? Because then it's going to be more bad advice being given to a mayor, which the people don't want. And I have to say this very clearly, not because I like or dislike Paul, because people know my feelings about Paul, but Joe Cavallo says Coogan did say that he only wanted 2 terms. I'm not particularly good at math, but isn't this a third term that he's seeking? White man speaks with forked tongue again, and
Yeah,
you better be careful. As you said earlier, he might be classified as a racist, but
yeah, yeah. But there's no longer any humor. But well said, actually appropriate, and he did make a promise. He also promised to reduce taxes, which he never came close to, not once but twice. But look, as you said, and I understand it, and what you just said was legitimate concerns by the people. I think that's true, and I'm not sure. Uh, I know one thing. At least it's my opinion. I've never seen a worse mayor in the city of Fall River. He's unprepared. He's never been a leader. He's a puppet. I've never seen anybody this bad, and I've been around a long time. I've seen a lot of bad mayors. People say, "Well, you never got along with a mayor." I said, "You're right. I never got along with a mayor. They always robbed from the poor and gave to the rich. They were like the reverse Robin Hoods." So, uh, it would be what would be the lesser of two evils? I think Paul just doesn't. He hasn't earned. He didn't even earn a second term, let alone a third term. He's basically pulled a Joe Biden on Fall River. This city is falling apart. The crime is out of control. The school system is deplorable. Everything is gone. He hasn't done. He doesn't address any issues. He has no leadership ability. But they're right about Sam. If he brings the same people in and listens to people from out of this community, again, will we have some real movement? I think it could be better. I think anything could be better than Paul. I'm like, if Sutter wasn't running, I would vote for the other guy. I don't even remember his name, but I would vote for him. All right, Vandal. I should already have Vandal. So I should have, but listen, this is about, to me, it's about, I want at some point in time, find a mayor that actually is going to work for the people. And I think it's up to the people, because he did say at one time, or he didn't say it in his speech, that he was going to knock on doors and interact with the people. I just hope he interacts and asks them what they want, not what it's real simple. The first thing you got to do is stop raising taxes. It's out of control. Of course, all Paul's friends don't care because they get $100,000 a year jobs like they're giving out popsicles. They don't care. A depressed economy, inflation, and all these high rents don't affect rich people. Never did. So the people that he deals with, it doesn't affect. But the first thing you got to do is obviously control crime. You got to obviously start to cut the fat from government, because we got a ton of fat. I mean, he just got done sticking 4 supervisors into a department that used to be run by one. Why? It's been run by one person forever. Why? He had 4 other people he wanted to give a job to. So, I mean, this is unacceptable. But the campaign, let the candidates go out. Those questions should be asked. They should be asked. And we may invite the candidates, and we will invite some candidates, maybe all. I don't think some will come. But we will ask those questions. If we get Sam Sutter on this show, we will ask him that question exactly. What are you going to do differently? Because you do have a record. And one of the problems you had was, I'm not saying he did a super bad job. He came up with something that the people didn't like because he didn't understand that the people of Fall River feel that they had to be consulted. And that was because, by his own admission, he listened to people who were from out of town. And is that going to happen again? Valid questions. Those people who wrote that were, they are valid questions. And as voters, they deserve an answer.
One of the big things that kept coming up that I kept reading over and over again was that there was no plan given, not even a hint to what a plan would be. What about crime? What's your plan to combat crime? What's your plan to combat finances? What's your plan to combat rents? People of Fall River want to know what's going to affect them, not what's going to affect somebody from Rainham, not what's going to affect somebody from, Davidson, Connecticut, not somebody from Portsmouth, Rhode Island. They want to know what you're going to do for the people of Fall River. And you have to have the people of Fall River behind you. And we saw this in the last two elections. The first time Paul was elected, it was a default election. He wasn't elected because he was the best candidate. He was elected because the other candidate was a criminal and was pending a jail sentence, a possible jail sentence. The second run, the opponent, again, did nothing to involve the people, to give the people something to chew on, in other words, a plan, to make it clear what he was going to do. And he listened to people, and I won't go into names, but he listened to people who said, don't worry about it, we've got this one. Yet, when you and I went out looking for signs, we couldn't find any anywhere. When you and I went out and talked to people, nobody knew what he was about. Well, if they don't know what you're about, they're not going to vote for you. And again, the same, people are saying they're going to vote for Vandal because they don't know where Sam stands and they don't want Paul. And some people are saying right in Boomer. They're saying right in Boomer, right in Jordan. I mean, this is the message that Sam has sent out to
right
people.
In CJ Ferry.
Yeah, really.
but listen, with all deference to those people who said that, he did indicate in his speech, because I did go down, I stood off to the side and listened. He did say in his speech, and don't construe this as I agree with this, he said that there are exactly 10 weeks to the primary, and that he has identified 10 critical issues in Fall River, which I think would include all of those that we mentioned and some other ones. I can't think of 10, I don't think, that are critical. But he said 10 issues. And his plan is to take each issue and spend 1 week on that particular issue and go through each individual issue with his plan for those 10 weeks. I don't agree with that tactic. You know what we did in a recall? We had Flanagan shenanigans, which was the approach where we hit everything. We gave people a menu of what to dislike about what Flanagan was doing as mayor. I think the sooner you get that out, the better. The reality is, I think that all of this stuff and the plan should already be up on a web page, and it should have been referred to. And that's the way I feel, because you heard me say that more than once. And I don't think this is the best way to bring information to the people. But again, he's listening to his team. And we'll see how effective his team is. I think we've demonstrated that we know how to reach the people of Fall River. And I've also learned through all my activities in various areas, the more information you give the people, the better chance you have to hit something that will resonate with that person. Not everybody. It's just like when you run it with Flanagan shenanigans, we had a book of stuff. So maybe not everybody was pissed off at Flanagan because of the not retracting the stormwater fee. Maybe everybody wasn't upset because he put in the purple bags. But there was something in that menu that they would say, yeah, you're right. This guy should not have done this. And then it gets their attention. And then you can maybe get a vote from those people. And I think ours, history speaks for itself. It worked.
Well, one of the
We,
things that I did was I had a long conversation with a Democratic operative. Okay, somebody who has been very involved in the Democratic Party statewide, and they were either at or had a video of Sam's speech because again, Sam is a Democrat, and they said it was flowery. They said, it didn't give them any reason to get excited about the campaign. They wanted a reason to be excited about the campaign. The people of Fall River need to be excited about campaigns because remember, in Fall River, politics is political blood sport. I mean, it's not a game for people. This is a blood sport. They want to see you come out hard and hitting hard. They want this to be like a welterweight championship. They don't want this to be some flowery thing like we had at the last mayoral election where, well, maybe we'll do this and maybe we'll do that. That's not what works. In Fall River, people want a bare knuckles fight. And if you disagree with me, please let me know. But Fall River is definitely they want a street fight.
You're right. I think you're right, CJ. We've been in this community a lot, but one of the greatest masters of controlling the masses, and people don't like him, but you have to give credit where credit is due. The man was a master at engaging the people. Adolf Hitler. Remember what he said? One of my favorite quotes. I use emotion for the masses, and I use logic for the few. He understands that people have to be invigorated. They have to be motivated to come to the polls. We've seen the apathy. We got them to the polls by giving them that Flanagan shenanigans and doing a lot of things, but we motivated them. But that's what has to be done. Just look at Hitler's speech in Munich. What did he say? Du bist Deutscher, ja, ich bin Deutscher, alles für Deutschland. Are you German? I'm German. We are all Germany. This is for Germany. And he got them all ginned up, and there was almost 1 million people in that. And I went to that plaza because I was stationed when I was in Germany, only 35 miles away from Munich. I spent a lot of time in Munich on the weekends and stuff. It's a great city, but Hitler was great at that because he engaged the people. That's what you got to do. Exactly. You can't. And look, like I said, if this speech was given in Newton, someplace like that, those words that are considered flowery words would have been okay because that's the way those people think and speak.
Right.
In Fall River, you got to get down and dirty. Like you said, this is going to be Fall River politics. All politics is ugly, but Fall River politics is a street fight. Yep. There's no holds barred, and there will be no holds barred in this election. I guarantee it.
And in case you haven't noticed, okay, Paul is doing his campaigning by sneaking it in under the radar. All of these events that he's putting together, or he has put together, down at the waterfront, down at the gates of the city, in the parks, all these concerts in the parks, the lunches in the parks. He's taking credit for everything. He's got Viva Fall River, which he's given millions of dollars to. Okay, so they're beholden to him. They're attached to his ass like there's no tomorrow. And I don't believe for a moment that if they weren't getting the money from Paul, that they'd be doing all of this. I don't believe that for a moment. Just like I don't believe for a moment that a lot of people wouldn't be doing a lot of other things. But by doing this, he has a platform that he is at that he can say, look at what I gave you. Look at what I did for you. You say I do nothing, but this is what I'm doing. I'm giving you a party in the park. I'm giving you a concert in the park. I'm giving you lunches. I'm giving you, food truck events. I'm giving
you a Roman orgy. That's what he's doing.
Giving you the 4th of July event, which was a fiasco, but I'll never say it was. And this is what he's doing. This is his campaign. Yeah. This is campaign. Why? Because people can be bought in Fall River, usually for the cost of a chow mein sandwich. I said that for years.
Listen, well, that's up to the candidates, both of them. to say, well, I don't think that other candidates are legit. He ran the last time. I actually think he's probably a plant from them to get a primary election to use as a barometer on how the campaigns are going.
Right.
I think that's this guy. I hope he surprises me. I hope he actually campaigns. But the last time he ran, we didn't hear a peep from him.
No, we did not. We did not.
So, I mean, he's not in there for anything except to have a primary,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the key. The key is that it's a political tactic. But what his opponent should do, or opponents, or people, or counselors, or anti-Coogan say, yeah, that's exactly what Paul Coogan did. He gave you a festival. He gave you a party. He gave you crappy fireworks, but they were fireworks. They looked more like a light show. He gave you everything but a tax break, a safe city, and a good educational system. That
Right.
should be the counter to that stuff. Because if you're not worried about, even the people of Forest, they underestimate the people of Fall River. Yeah, they'll go down there and they'll take advantage of free music or whatever. But do you really think they don't understand that only the rich people who don't care about the costs and don't care about their tax rates, they're the only people that support Paul, because all he's done is increase the budget and increase the cost of people's lives in Fall River. And when the ARPA money dries up, this city is going to get destroyed. So my counter to that is, he's done all that stuff. But what does it have to do with the economy in Fall River, the tax rate in Fall River, the safety of our streets, and all the other important issues to the people who live in the neighborhoods, the places he doesn't go?
And remember, when this ARPA money is gone, so will Paul be gone. And he's going to leave that financial mess that he creates on the next administration, whoever that may be. That's if Paul gets reelected. And that's what the people need to look at. They need to say, look, we have 2 years left of ARPA funds, the term of the next mayor's term. What are we going to do? Look at what's going on just with the charter review people. They want to make it so that politicians get more power. All of them. They're trying to make politicians get more power. Why? Because Paul put them in.
Yeah, they're rolling the tape for Paul.
The only dissenting voice is Dan Robillard again. And we can't have that.
No,
we can't.
It's all about power. But we're gonna let's and I think this is gonna great. We're gonna bring in these people. We're gonna bring in city council candidates. We're gonna bring them in and talk to them. But I think while we're on it, what Paul has done, we all know. We're gonna switch gears here. We all know Nelson put in a public records request for the debt override numbers. And I was informed that after he told them that he was going to file a state complaint, that he got them. And he said they are unbelievable. He is alleging that he has proven conclusively that he was squirreling money, like, oh, what a surprise. The city squirrels money like that when Sahadi asked for $45 million when you could run the healthcare on $39 million. So, that's what they do. That's what these con artists do. They are not accountable. It's not like you're working in private industry where you better justify where all your money's going and prove it's going there. They just always hide money everywhere. But he's supposedly got some really damning figures. And I think that, he's been on our show before. I think that I want to take a look at these numbers. And if they're as incredible as he says, I think we may have a special show. That's one of the great things about our new format. We can do our regular shows and then stick in an extra show. I think that we will have to consider bringing him on for just that subject and going over the numbers. I think that would be really, really good, especially at this point in time when the election cycle is starting, because that's one of the areas that Paul never talks about. The budget and how it's not funded properly. It's funded illegally. It's not even funded at all. And I think this is a critical issue, a critical issue. And because one, as you said, CJ, he's looking for another term because he can keep the boat floating a little bit by robbing Peter to pay Paul, using ARPA money to plug holes. But when he's gone, if he gets another term, this city will be absolute toast, because the full debt override for Durfee will be biting us. Diamond will be here. The police contract, which they said they were funding on, some investments down the road, and they already know, I've got from very reliable sources, they already know they can't fund that contract down the line. And all the other jobs, the 68 jobs he created, that are being funded with ARPA money, and the ones in the school department. And I'm going to tell you, this city, if he gets another term, this city will be in receivership within maybe by the next budget. Or you will see such drastic cuts everywhere that this city will be unlivable between its tax rate and its lack of services. Nobody will want to come to Fall River.
Well, we're at that point now. I mean, although Paul is saying that everybody is dying to get to Fall River. And when the train gets here, remember, the train may bring people to Fall River. And we keep saying it's going to bring a lot of crime, and I firmly believe that. And, you know, I'm not Karnak the Magnificent, but I believe it's going to bring more crime. I believe that by this train coming to Fall River, we're going to have a need for an increase in public safety, an increase in social services, and an increase in homelessness. And already at the bottom of President Avenue, now listen, people, I just got this morning. At the bottom of President Avenue last night, there were five tents down. A tent city is forming again. What's Paul doing about that? Okay? And don't tell me we're going to take them out of the park or take them out of wherever and we'll get them to the shelter. The shelters aren't working for Fall River. People can't go to the shelter and stay there and get kicked out at 7 o'clock in the morning and then be roaming the streets, especially in this heat, all day to get it back to the shelter at 4 o'clock in the afternoon to get a bed, because that's what happens. And who goes home at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and doesn't go out? A hermit. Oh, I guess I'm describing myself.
Well, look, we know that Paul has never addressed any problem. They'll try to put a Band-Aid on it. They'll try to hide it. They'll do it. This is the problem. Homelessness is a national problem. And if it's left unchecked, it becomes an epidemic. Look at San Francisco. They destroyed arguably the most beautiful city in the United States. They destroyed it. They completely destroyed it with homeless encampments by allowing them to do it and thinking that they can just ignore it. And that's what Paul does best. The only thing he doesn't ignore is making sure he gets buildings for his friends. He doesn't bring in any small businesses. He doesn't bring in anything. So, look, we're going to have an election, and we've got a lot of city councilors who have been very, very quiet. We are going to reach out to all these city councilors, candidates, and give them the opportunity to come on our show, give their platform, and answer a few questions. And when we do schedule them, we will let you know who's coming. And if you want to submit some questions to us, you can submit some questions to us. And we will give them, we can give them as much time as we want, depending on how the dialogue goes. Yeah. I'm sure we'll have a few that will not come on, but
no, really?
Yeah. And we can extend that to school committee too. But it is what it is. And it is officially on. This is only this is the initial shot. The cannon has been fired The race has been gone. The gun's been fired. They've left the starting line. Now the real race begins. So that's one of the things people have. The problems are they focus on the speech now, but in 3 weeks we won't be talking about the speech. We'll be talking about what is being said, what's being done in the city of Fall River. We'll see how many signs are up. We'll see what the buzz is. We'll see what people are saying. We'll see what kind of information is being or disinformation is being put out there. And so things may be getting interesting pretty quickly.
Well, I should have said this at the beginning of the show, but I wasn't sure it was going to happen. But I want to welcome our Facebook viewers. Today, we started broadcasting on Facebook. So, yes, now you can find us on YouTube and Facebook. And very soon, we're going to be going to a third venue. So, our show is growing and our viewership is growing rapidly. And for our next show, I hopefully will remember to bring this up. But there's rumor and accusations that Paul is trying to destroy the neighborhood associations, with the first being the Flint Neighborhood Association. So again, people need to understand, is your neighborhood association important to you? Let's find out. I want to thank you all for watching. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. It's been a pleasure to be with you today. Have a great day.
Don't forget to vote. All righty.